Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Tonight's film is 1972's Class of 1974. It's actually Class of 74. The tagline on the front is, "To them, life is a ball, ball after ball after ball. They taught more than they learned." And this is the back of the DVD here, and this is put out by Code Red DVD distribution. And as you know, all Code Red titles are very, very limited edition. Once they go out of print, which they do very quickly, they go for very high prices. This is Class of 74, the Class of 74 from 1972. This is a really, really, just as, you look at this film and it's such a product of the 70s. It's such a product of the time culturally. This is a film that's a snapshot of the culture. It's a snapshot of the philosophy, a snapshot of the sociology, a snapshot of the beauty, the sex, the freedom, the expression, the wildness, the love. That's really what the Class of 74 is really all about in many respects. What we have here is we have a film that really is focused on a group of girls, four girls in college. It's alluded to, and three of the girls are really trying to move their one conservative friend towards the liberating philosophy and mindset that they have already gotten to, related to gender, related to sex, related to being a woman, and related to men. And eventually, what we have here in this entire film is this one conservative girl slowly adventuring into breaking the mold of her sexual conservatism, so to speak, with each one of her friends in each one of their worlds. This is a film, you can tell in the first 5 minutes, that is incorporating gender philosophy, gender roles, gender issues. You could see this as being an extremely politically incorrect film for our modern 2016 times. You could see today people having a real problem with this film, maybe thinking that this film is very demeaning towards women or chauvinistic. But on the flip side, you could see a lot of people thinking that this film is very feminist and very ahead of its time. So there's really that flip side of the coin there. What we have here is we have ideas of obviously free love, but beyond that, we have ideas of what women being free, and women using their womanhood and knowing what they want to get what they want, and that is essentially some running themes going throughout this film. But freedom, basically free love, nothing is everlasting. These are a lot of different elements here. We even have a bit of theology in this film, even in the first 5-10 minutes of the film. So this is a very, very interesting film, a very interesting sexploitation type of film. So let's get into it. First and foremost, we got the music, right? The music, we got some real awesome funk soul with the vocals kind of riding throughout the entire film. This is a film that has a lot of vocalized, funky soul, almost blaxploitation type music from the 70s, kind of pervading the film. It sounds like the music was made for this particular film. If you listen to the lyrics, there's even a song about the lead character, and the lead character of this film will be the conservative girl. You are going to be with her the most as she is entering into liberation and a liberated mindset. And the music pervades the film. We even have some live footage in the film of an all-black band playing this kind of funk soul music that would really feel good in a blaxploitation film like Coffee or Foxy Brown. When we get into the cinematography and the editing of this film, this is where things get very, very unique and very, very interesting. This is a film that really utilizes, it's almost confusing in an awesome way in what it's doing. this is a film that is in the present storyline is basically the present storyline is dependent upon all these breakout storylines coming out of the present storyline. But when you break off into a branch of the storyline, that branch then breaks off into another branch, into another branch, into another branch, and eventually you're like almost following a whole other storyline, or so it seems, until you come back to the original storyline. You also have different perspectives, different voices, different characters. So to say that this film utilizes flashbacks is really an understatement. This is a film that utilizes flashback to flashback to flashback to multiple perspectives in a way that could be very jarring to a lot of viewers. This is a film with a very, if one of the themes in the film is liberation and freedom, the cinematography and the editing really follows that theme in the way the film is edited, in the way the film is shot. There's almost a structured chaos to the editing of this film, into the way that these multiple storylines are kind of cascading around, and seemingly a film that is just free form. It's like acid jazz. It's like 70s jazz. It's like Franco jazz, just Franco jazz. It's free form. And so it just kind of meanders and moves at its own pace, doing what it will, when it will, just because it feels like it will. And that's essentially the kind of editing we have going on in this film. It's very wild. You could almost get a bit confused at times as to what is happening, predominantly in the first, I would say, probably the first 35 minutes. And then you start to get into the groove of what's happening, or the way that it's happening. And that is really something that you'll kind of know in the film. So the editing is very wild. Lots of cuts, lots of cuts to still frame photos, and lots of cuts to butts and to breasts and to body parts on the beach, and lots of just wild cuts and wild lighting, and almost psychedelic lighting, and lots of slow motion. And like I said, if you are into Hollywood linear, logical storytelling, this film is not for you at all. This is a film that likes to branch off and just do whatever it wants to do. It is really breaking a lot of the rules of big budget Hollywood linear storytelling movies, where when it goes off into a branch, it'll just stay on that branch as if that's the main storyline. You understand what I'm saying? So there's really kind of a beauty to all of that, especially once you get into the groove of it. And like I said, there's a lot of slow-mo. There's a lot of very cool things with sun glare, like you get in the 70s and things like that. Now, the sexuality of this film, obviously, we have full frontal nudity, really only with the lead conservative girl who's playing the character of Gabriella, who even seems to have her own theme song in the movie at one point. And she really exudes, she's very sexual, very pretty, long, 70s brown hair. This is, she really has that kind of 70s beauty and sexuality with her body, with her face, with her hair. I mean, essentially, Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused was really, the girls in that film were obviously, acting in the modern times. And this girl who's, the character of Gabriella, she's the real deal of what the characters in the movie Dazed and Confused are trying to look like, okay? And so she really exudes that. And there's some rather dangerous concepts in here. And when I use the term dangerous, I say it in a way that's, confrontational, controversially philosophical, and especially in regards to sexuality and in regards to gender and all of that, even religion a bit. So there's some very dangerous concepts in here, and some very interestingly dangerous concepts that you will be watching the film and really kind of being intrigued by what the characters are saying, by what her three girlfriends are saying, and it's like this one concept of just saying what's on your mind, no matter how taboo it is. And that's in the kind of the first part of the film. So there's some really wild things in here, and some things that could really disturb some people sexually in the taboo area. And there's some a great opening credit sequence to this film. Excuse me, wow, this burp that involves dancing. So this is just you get that real 70s vibe to this film, real sunny, beachy California 70s vibes, sunny glare, skin, the whole vibe. We got a lot of things with younger and older and almost a la Schoolgirl Report-ish at times. So you can Schoolgirl Report is other films that I've reviewed on this YouTube page, so you can check that out since I just made a reference to it. But this is The Class of 74, put out by Code Red DVD, and it's a very interesting transfer as well. It starts off, you got some kind of the real film elements, kind of rough, and then all of a sudden it cleans up and like it's a little weird at first, and it's totally clean for the rest of the film. It's really interesting. So this is The Class of 74, folks, right here from 1972. And thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. And please feel free to check out my own personal films at youtube.com/poopy-diarrhea. And here's the back image one more time. By the way, that girl on the top left and the guy on the bottom left, I don't even believe her in the movie. But you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, oh no, yeah, she is. She is. And you know what? There's another movie on here as well, named Gabriella as a special feature. So maybe they're from that film. Anyway, folks, thank you so much and good night.